Thank you for joining us as we x-ray how Nigeria has fared in the year 2024. And now it's time to look at the economy. Nigeria's economy encountered significant challenges in this year. The inflation rate reached unprecedented levels, driven by factors such as oil subsidy removal, rise in food prices, and the depreciation of the naira.
Now, in response, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, increased interest rates in an effort to curb inflation. The government launched a number of cushioning programs also. Now, this morning we're joined by Nnaemeka Obiareri, who's an investment banker and public affairs analyst. And we also have in the studio with us Jide Johnson, who, of course, will be sharing his thoughts with us also on how far and how well 2024 Nigeria's economic picture, basically. Mr. Obiareri, can you hear us clearly now?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. Okay, great. Great to have you join us. So let's kick off on your assessment. You know, it's been a turbulent year for Nigeria's economy. The president says these are still the teething stages. We're still pregnant. We're going to give birth very soon. Nigeria has gone for antenatal, and very soon the good times will roll in with Nigeria's economy. Do you think that this year has been convincing enough? Bear in mind the different things that have happened this year, including the Port Harcourt and Warri refinery, the Dangote refinery as well, and some of these extras that have been part of the conversation concerning Nigeria's economy. What is your general assessment?
Sorry, I will just look at the numbers, and the numbers do not lie. As at this time, 31st of December 2023, Nigerian GDP was at about $332 billion. As at today, 1 year after, Nigerian GDP is estimated to be less than $200 billion. We've shed almost 50% of our size in terms of size of the economy. That simply means in terms of productivity of goods and services, our economy has tanked by 50%. In terms of the indicators of the socio-economic well-being of the average Nigerian, by World Bank indices, anybody who does not earn anything above $64.50, which is the equivalent of 110,000 naira, based on current exchange rate valuation, is regarded as very poor. And even if you look at NDIC records, you clearly see that over 197 million Nigerians are in the poverty region. This was not the case in 2014, even 2023. And you talk about us tackling inflation and getting out of the wood. From what I have seen, even from the budget proposal that have been presented to the National Assembly, and which they've actually rushed, I don't see any hope in the horizon. Forget the propaganda. The question you should ask yourself, what was the price of the liter of the petroleum product in 2023 by this time? Purchasing power of the average Nigerian. What are the conditions of their security?
All right. I think we're back with having those connection issues. While we try to reconnect with Nnaemeka Obiareri, let's bring in Jide Johnson. Pretty much same question. Your analysis of how far and how well Nigeria's economy has survived in 2024, and if what we're currently seeing gives you hope that the next year, the new year, would bring forth, a thriving economy.
Well, good day to our viewers all over the world. Thank you for having me. Well, from the figures provided by my colleague from the other hand, which give us the statistics with respect to how the economy has been slashed by 50%, and then you bring it down home for an average Nigerian, what has happened to the purchasing power of an average Nigerian compared to what we have a year ago, compared to what we have now? How much, for example, do I spend on fueling my car in going to the office? Everything is driven by energy. Now, if you look at the energy cost that has been incurred either by small businesses or by corporate organizations, in the last 1 year, it has increased more than 200 to 300% increase, because as out of this time last year, the price of energy is not what it is. Now, even when you talk about electricity, which is part of the energy, the various tariffs were removed, and then for the very first time in the history of our country, we had band A, we had discrimination when it comes to enjoying the services that government is meant to provide for the citizenry, which is an infringement on the fundamental human rights of an average citizen, for you to be categorized as band A users, band B, band C, band. I don't know anywhere where it's practiced in the world, and probably some of our contributors might know, and they might educate us concerning that. So if you look at it from the energy point of view, which is the major driver of the economy, because energy is what you use to propel your economy, the manufacturing sector, the service sector, all other sector. You understand that Nigerian economy went through a challenging period in 2024. And what are the steps that has been taken to address that going into 2025? I don't think there is any step that has been taken to address the energy problem. Although, we started celebrating that the Port Harcourt refinery is working, the Warri refinery is working, and then you recall that some few months back, they said that when Dangote refinery comes on board, everything will be normalized. But the price of petroleum product is still high compared to what it was about a year ago. And a lot of people have asked questions. In the past, they used to talk about landing costs. They used to talk about the fluctuation in the exchange rate. But now, we have seen local participants in this particular major driver of the economy, yet the price seems to be on the increase. So, for me, it's same of the same. I don't see any hope concerning 2025 in terms of changes in the economic fortunes of Nigeria, because what are the policy trusts that have been put in place to address some of these
So not
issues?
even the budget of restoration, that doesn't give you hope?
You see, we have had budgets upon budgets upon budget upon budgets that have been presented. Our problem is not budgetary allocation. Our problem has to do with execution, one. Two, what was the percentage of the compliance for the implementation of 2023 budget? Now, and then what were the priorities put in place concerning 2024 budget? You still see that the current expenditure is still much more than capital and expenditure, and it's the capital expenditure that drives your economy, that drives your economic growth. For example, what investment have we made? Look, it's very clear. For your economy to grow, you need the energy sector, you need the power sector. And if you look at the thrust of the 2024 election campaign in the United States of America, one of the cardinal points of that campaign is energy cost. What steps are we going to take to reduce the prices of energy? And in our own case, we are not even looking at that. When the whole world is looking at how to reduce the price of energy, we are increasing the price of energy. And in what way would that bring about economic growth? Because once you reduce the energy cost, it reduces the overhead of small and medium-scale enterprise. They are able to break even, contribute to economic growth. But that is not in the horizon for me.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Obiareri, we're going to, attempt with the connection again. If you can hear us, let's also have you share your thoughts. You were speaking already on your views on 2024. Put into perspective, of course, the budget. We had, I think 2 supplementary budgets in 2024 already. Now we're having another, the 2025 budget that has also been shared. So let's have your thoughts on how far and how well, and also your projections for the new year.
Sorry, you recall this time last year I was in your studio, and I told that 2024, based on what I've seen from the budget projection, was than 2023, and it happened. You don't need to be a rocket science scientist or a prophet to know, based on what we have seen from the 2025 budget projection, that it will stay poor. There is forget all those razzmatazz and whatever they want you to believe. The numbers will not lie. Also, I was trying to explain something. Nigeria has an infrastructure development master plan that was developed in 2007, 2008 with the assistance of the World Bank. And that plan said clearly that we need to have investment of $3 trillion over 30 years to be able to move our economy from the current fourth world level, not even third world level, to that of the second world level. That is among the G30, G20. And that simply means we must attract on an annual basis, unbroken, sustainable, $100 billion capital investment into Nigeria. I don't see that thing coming in from anywhere based on what I have seen from that budget proposal. First of all, ask yourself this question. When people say 2 million barrels crude production a year is overambitious from the current level of 1.45 million, we forget that in 2010, we were doing 2.88 million barrels and crude and condensate. In October 2010, we even exported 2.43 million barrels a day for 30 days. What happened then? Remember, in this same country, between 1999 to 2003, Obasanjo's first term, crude oil never sold above $28 per barrel. It was $17.36 when he became president. How was he able to produce crude oil at a cost and sell at $17.36 to $28 per barrel? I was able to build up an economy that grew 6.5%. 8 years, and a $1 billion debt through negotiations of forgiveness of $12 billion. It's a question we need to sit back. What did Obasanjo do then with this debt? And that is a question we should be asking ourselves. What are we can't reinvent the way. Look at that budget. Budget of 47 trillion naira. We can actually do 100 trillion naira budget expenditure without in a without running a deficit for 1 million barrels a day. We will not have a deficit of 13 trillion naira. We don't need to borrow 15 trillion naira. And we know what to do. I have always said it. The oil and gas, if Nigeria is a productive economy, should not be more than 10% of our GDP. Should not even contribute more than 20% of our exchange revenue. If we're very sincere and honest people, looking at the potentials of this. Interestingly, those in power across the 3 tiers and arms of government, they hear us every day. They know that the solutions we prefer are the most credible, the most practical, that can take us out of it. But for whatever political expediencies and games that best suit their agenda, we don't want to do it. Look at NNPC, $58 billion sized, far older than the Petrobras, managing more and bigger crude oil resources, 37 billion barrels, Petrobras, 15 billion barrels. Look at Petrobras, $174 billion sized, $121 billion annual revenue, that's $6 billion profit. A time in this country, 2014, NNPC was rating over $3.6 billion to CBN every year, every month. That was why the central bank then was able to defend the naira and allowed some level of foreign stability. Today, what they remit is less than $500 billion. Where are the monies going to? If we want Nigeria to work, President Tinubu knows what to do. We need to totally unbundle the NNPC. And to totally unbundle the NNPC simply means to go the way of Petrobras, to go the way that the Brazilians went. We sell down 72% of the federal government holding at the NNPC, 30% to core investors, 42% to Nigerians, list on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Do an IPO of $20 billion. We will have $60 billion sitting in our coffers in the treasury. If we have an efficiently run NNPC like Petrobras, like Nigerian liquefied natural gas, we will easily attract $20 billion year on year in that industry. On the agri sector and agri value chain, we have shared with them what they can do to generate nothing less than $250 billion annually in the Nigeria economy. But these guys don't seem to want to do the right things. On security, we have shared with them things they can do to fix the security architecture of Nigeria, to make it work. But for whatever reason best known to them, this 2025 budget will not take us anywhere. Mark my word. By this time, next year, we'll come back to the September to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who also agree with you. There's not much faith in the 2025 budget. It's pretty much obvious, you know, if you look at the figures and the projections that are there. Mr. Jide Johnson, let's bring you back in to also share on, I mean, you know, do you also agree 2025 budget, you know, is not necessarily going to take us anywhere? And what would you say should be the maybe critical things that you will expect that the current administration should redirect its focus on in the new year?
You see, he spoke about the critical sector that we need to focus on. First and foremost, look at what happened to the telco industry and what, with the privatization of the telco industry and allow private actors to come to play in that particular sector. I used to share with my student and my children how we used to queue on Nitel to make a call, and then you queue, the queue be as long as from here to Ikeja, and then you drop your coin, then you wait, and all of that. If you have told anybody that it's possible for you to make phone calls from the comfort of your room, this is not possible. But it was as a result of taking that drastic step in privatizing that sector. Nitel, we believe, you remember the former Senate President, David Mark, who was then the Minister of Communication under Babangida administration, who said telephone is not for the poor, as far back as then. But look at what has happened to that particular sector. Where is Nitel today? And that's a lot of people have used the Petronas example, even the Saudi Aramco example, that's what we need to do concerning NNPC, that there's a need for us, for government to divest in NNPC and allow private sector and citizens to have ownership of, and he gave it a template of government retaining 42% and the remaining percent being shared. But you recall when campaign was being done for 2019, and Atiku came up with this idea, he was criticized, and then towards the tail end of Buhari's administration, they came up with one abracadabra that NNPC has been privatized and the rest of it, and they give it a new name, and nothing happened concerning that. So that particular sector, which is the energy sector, we need to focus on that. The second sector is the agricultural sector. It's very, very clear. What are the steps that we have put in place to any nation that cannot feed itself is not ready for self-sustenance, is not ready for growth. Now, what steps are we taking to address? Nigeria is blessed with arable lands. So what investment across, beyond the federal government, the state government, the local government, and the rest of it, what investment are they making in agriculture? What's the cost? Look, because of the huge amount of money which we spend in sustaining ourselves, we don't have enough money to save out of our disposable income. And he said saving is the lowest form of investment, which provides credit for the bank and for anybody that is looking for a loan to have access to this loan. So if you look at the energy sector, the agricultural sector, and then you look at the infrastructure, if you travel through the length and breadth of this country. Now, we made the Buhari administration borrowed money for the railway system. Now, how integrated are these rail systems? How good are our routes in terms of moving goods and services from the farm produce down to the cities where it is needed? Yeah. Then, lastly, the security architecture. The issue, I still go back to the 2013 letter Obasanjo wrote to Jonathan in December 2013, which, when he was talking about the security challenges which we had. If every government is sincere, all they need to do is to go and dissect that letter, particularly read page 8 of that particular letter, dissect it, and carry out some of the recommendations Obasanjo made concerning this issue. I can assure you that some of the security challenges we are having will be solved. However, a lot of people are making, that's my opinion, I believe, and I strongly believe, because if you watch this movie, The Lord of Wars, a lot of people are making money from this security situation that we have. Who audits the security votes? Who audits it? Who audits the security vote? Who can question? Not even the National Assembly can question whatever money that is being spent on security. And you look at it, in the last 20 years, we have spent more money on security than we have spent on agriculture, than we have spent on power, than we have spent even on the energy sector. And we expect the economy to grow. It will not grow. It's like you are dropping water into the ocean. Basket. So into the ocean, you can't see the effect of it.
All right, let's then move the conversation a little towards another direction. And this is, of course, the election, focusing particularly on the Edo State governorship election, which held on September 21st, 2024. And this election led to Monday Okpewolo's win as governor of Edo State. He won with 291,667 votes. And he, of course, defeated the People's Democratic Party candidate, Aswe Godalo, who had 247,274 votes. Labour Party candidate Olumide Akpata, who had 22,763 votes.
Now, the election outcome decided Edo's current fate, but its fairness was also questioned as the PDP rejected the results, alleging electoral fraud and rigging in the elections. These, of course, pretty much the same thing and have mostly defined the off-cycle elections that have happened in Nigeria in 2024, and even prior. So let's, also speak on that, and the reason we're bringing these things up is because, again, it is how far and how well, what is different. Almost 2 years since the current administration came to office, we have just concluded a full year. What is different about the way that we do things in Nigeria? What is different with our electoral processes? So what is your analysis on how INEC fared in 2024 with a focus on Edo State and, the other, off-cycle elections that we had?
I think we've gone back to 2007 model of conducting election in Nigeria, 2003 to 2007 model, in which that it is not what actually, it is not the actual balloting that determines the outcome, but the announcement of results that actually determine the outcome. And that, the famous phrase, if you are not satisfied with the process, you go to court.
Go to court, yeah.
And that's to tell you the level of integrity that we have for our elections. And I say this with my full chest out. I was on set during the off-cycle election in Imo State, Bayelsa State, and I think in Kogi State, the first off-cycle election, I think that we had post 2023 election, and then you witnessed what happened in the collation center of Imo State, whereby the agent of the Labour Party for that election was beaten, smuggled out, and then you have security agents, the commissioner of police, the state director, and in their presence, we witnessed somebody being manhandled for questioning, for asking basic question that is required concerning the process, and that sent shockwaves down my spine, because I thought that we moved beyond what happened in 2000, and you remember in 2003, whereby 90,000 people registered, 90,000 people voted. I came up with some slide. We used to have landslide. Then that time we had mountain slide, because results that were coming from mountainous side of the country were incredulous. And then we then have ocean slide. The results that were coming from I could recall one in River State, whereby 90,000 people registered and 90,000 people voted.
Wonderful.
It's incredulous. It's unbelievable. So we have gotten to that. We thought that with the reforms and the resources that have been expended on making sure that we have election integrity, the beavers, and everything, we thought that would bring an end to that. But you saw different types of result sheet, mutilation, manipulation of result sheet, and which you think that in 2024 should not happen. And we saw all of that, and which has put question to the integrity. This is my position. I think the INEC chairman should have even resigned concerning the off-cycle election we have had since 2023 general election. The outcome might not have been different, actually, but if you look at the processes, I'm telling you, it's
So in your analysis and your verdict, elections 2024, no improvement.
Not at all. We have gone back to the 2003-2007 model. Whereby even the presidential candidate, the president-elect, that was a beneficiary of that system, publicly said he's not proud of the process that brought him in. Now, the reverse is the case now. You now see the winners of this process are now proud of the process that brought them in. Which
so how did we then get here?
The bottom line is because there's no accountability. And then you have a critical sector, which is the judicial sector, the judiciary, which is meant to bring about normalization in that process. We have seen different interpretation, judgment, similar situation in different states, and you see different panel giving contrary views, contrary judgment to what you have. And to a large extent, the judiciary has not even helped the matters when it comes to. Do you think it is possible for us to have this type of judiciary we had that removed Ngigi, a sitting governor, almost 2 to 3 years into his tenure, that is not the rightfully elected governor? Or do we still have the type of judiciary that removed Oyinlola after 3 years in office and brought in Aregbesola as the duly elected? Do we still have that? Do we still have a judiciary that is as confident and bold and not, quote unquote, partisan like we have? And that, we say the judiciary is the bastion hope for the common man. But do we have that? Because the judiciary is meant to interpret the Electoral Act. And you even see what the judiciary did to the interpretation of the Electoral Act concerning 2023 general election. It even further murdered the process, playing the process into the hand of which election since 2023 has been invalidated by the judiciary.
Right.
I mean, so expand a little bit further on your analysis on 2024 Nigerian judiciary.
2024?
Yes.
It's there. Well, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a study on that in view of some of the challenges we have and some of the issues that towards the tail end of this year, the challenges concerning judiciary that touches on fundamental human right, freedom of expression, that defines freedom of expression, what is criminal libel, what is civil libel, and the rest of it. Right. I think I'm going to do an opinion poll concerning the credibility of the Nigerian judiciary. But I can tell you, if you just do a snap...
Are you not afraid of how it will eventually turn out? You've seen how the administration of Nigeria's criminal justice
system. Now, if I conduct an opinion, if I carry out a research, I'm a researcher. It's my responsibility to do that. If I carry out a research, whatever the outcome of my research is, I'll publish the report. And that's what, if the credibility index of the judiciary is negative, we'll publish the report. And if it's positive, we'll publish the report. But it's very clear, just based on the snapshot of opinions that we share with people across board, you know that the credibility index of the judiciary is at its lowest ebb. People don't have confidence. It's clear. People don't have confidence in the judiciary.
Okay, so how do we then restore it? What amount of work lies ahead of us? We have this year was also another pivotal year in terms of swearing in of a new CJN, Justice Kekereko. What work lies ahead? She's also been criticized. She's been criticized for several reasons. One, the groundbreaking ceremony with Nyesom Wike being hosted by the Lagos State Governor for Thanksgiving dinner. I can't remember exactly what it was called. So what work lies ahead, and do you have faith in the current CJN to be able to sanitize the judiciary?
I think the judiciary needs to go back to its traditional role of not being seen but being heard in the courtroom. Now we've seen the judiciary. While we are growing up, do you see judges? Judges don't attend parties. Judges don't attend social function. Even when they go for services in their religious, what have you, they are as modest, and because judges are placed in the same pedestal you place God. You know, after God, who are the next set of people that have power over life and death? They are judges. And now we have seen judges being heavily involved in... I remember one of these justices of the Supreme Court that retired. I think she's from Kebbi State, and she was one of the panel that brought Obi in as the governor of Anambra State that removed Ngige, that Ngige was not duly elected. I remember she said that until then, she was given an account, said until they made that decision, the political class never knew the power that judiciary wielded. And then he said from that moment forward, the political class was much more interested in who becomes the Chief Justice and who are appointed into various offices. I think we need to insulate the judiciary from the political mess. And some of us have argued that, look, the appointment of the Chief Justice of the Federation, for example, the president will nominate whoever he wants to serve in the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Yeah. But that judge will be screened by the Senate. And that judges can be impeached. And I think that we need to put that clause in our constitution that makes a provision for judges at all levels to be impeached for gross misconduct and the rest of it, and not leave the hiring and firing. We've even seen situations whereby governors have removed, single-handedly, chief justices of the state and replaced the chief justices the chief judge, rather, the chief judge of their state, and replace him with another chief judge. So there are some constitutional reviews that we need to do to take you can have the power of appointment, being the chief executive, but the power of removal should lies with
In
the
fact,
legislature.
even many have argued that the power of appointment should not even lie with the executive, because sometimes it would then make the judges feel obliged to them, that we should sort of rework that provision that allows the executive to be able to interfere with the appointment of the judiciary.
I have said it. If this is the type of judiciary that we have now, is the type of judiciary we had under military administration when there were ouster clauses, justices like Chukwudifu, Oputa, Justice Kayode Esho, and the rest of them. There are many, Caribbean White and the rest of them. If this is the type of justice that we have now at the national level, at the federal level, at the justices we have during military administration, I can tell you we never experienced democracy.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we have a bit more to also share with you. I think I would also like that you speak on the opposition parties 2024.
Okay.
How well did they fare this year? Do they still exist? Will they move into 2025 with us, or are we leaving them behind?
On that staircase, so that lady.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue. All right, welcome back. Still is here our final edition of Breakfast Central for the 2024 year. It feels really, really good. And we're joined this morning by Jide Johnson to speak on his assessment of numerous sectors of Nigeria in 2024. So the final one I think I want to bring up is opposition parties 2024. How well and how far and how well did they do? Will they survive in 2025? Looking at where the relevance that they currently have in Nigeria's political landscape.
First and foremost, there are no political parties in Nigeria. The political parties are based on ideology. The Nigerian political class does not have ideology. It's what I call chop-I-chop ideology. And once they are starved of having access to the national resources,
Yeah, they move to another.
They move to another party. And then if you look at, there's a study in history which is called trend studies. And you look at the trends, 2003 to 2007, what happened between 2007 and 2011 when PDP succeeded in transiting from Obasanjo to Yar'Adua. We witnessed governors from ANPP, then you recall the governor of Bauchi State and the governor of Zamfara State that were elected on, and then people said that it was political party by marriage. Yar'Adua's daughter was married to Yuguda of Bauchi and Shinkafi of Zamfara State, and both of them decamped from ANPP to PDP. And by the time we are approaching 2011 election, you saw that PDP coast has enlarged with a lot of opposition legislature and the rest of them moving into PDP. So you situate that with Buhari doing 8 years and Bola Ahmed Tinubu becoming the president, and you can't even compare the political acumen of Umar Musa Yar'Adua with that of Bola Ahmed Tinubu now becoming president. It's very clear by 2025, a lot of movement will happen. You have seen movement at the legislature, the National Assembly. You see movement at the state executive level, because that's Nigerian political system is based on winner takes all, and everybody loves the win. And then you even heard what the president said during his budget presentation, where he said he was talking about, it was before the 11th Assembly, and
yes.
Then the president, they said no, it's the 10th, and the president said that means that you are all the elected, which puts the question, is it the president that will determine the outcome of the election, or the electorate that will determine the outcome of the election, as announced by INEC? So there are no opposition party. If there are opposition party, for example, which party does the Minister of Federal Capital Territory belong to? He's serving an APC government. He attended APC party function, and at the same time, he's in PDP. He attends PDP's function. Which party is his fellow journeyman? Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Ikpeazu of Abia State, and the rest of them, you know, some of them came to Lagos to felicitate with the president. So there are no opposition party. There are no opposition party in Nigeria. It's only when election is coming and when they don't have ticket in one party, they move en masse. What I see is that moving to 2027, Nigeria will coalesce into one party state, and then by the time we get to 2031, you'll see the emergence of another party. Because at that time, probably, that's my thinking, that's my forecast. I might be wrong, and I might be right. Probably towards the tail end of the second term of the president, and then there is a succession. Yeah. Just like you had in PDP, a succession then you see that the party from APC will emerge two new parties, just like how the APC emerged from the behemoth PDP. You know, it was the 7 governors that left PDP that gave solid base to APC in 2013 when it was formed, and it took power within 2 years. So as far as I'm concerned, going to 2027, the political parties, the opposition, where are they? In fact, the opposition in democracy, the opposition is meant to provide an alternative view. Which party is providing the alternative view in Nigeria today? Labour Party that is bedeviled with crisis, or PDP that is bedeviled with crisis? Who is the national
All
chairman?
of them are now even starting to, we're seeing a number of them moving to the APC, so it's different. It feels like different sides of the same coin, but I guess 2025 will show us what exactly is in it for opposition in Nigeria. Jide Johnson, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us, and Happy New Year. May 2025 be good to you.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Olive and Otarage. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. Happy New Year to our viewers all over the world in advance. Thank you. And you know, people in Australia will soon be in the new year.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll go on a break now. When we come back, we have the final stretch, exploring stories that have made the big headlines in 2024. Stay with us.